The fireworks have started early for Kirby Smart and the Dogs. They pick up a big-time commitment today. Four-star tight end Brayden Fogle out of Ohio chose the Bulldogs today over Penn State and LSU. This is a big-time commitment and Georgia's second tight end commitment in the 2026 class. He's a good one. He's the number 10 tight end prospect in the country. He took an official visit to Georgia the weekend of June 6th. I was told it was an eye-opening visit. And this guy can play. He is a basketball star for his Lexington High School in Ohio, and that athleticism translates really well to the gridiron. Big time size, 6'4", 235, strong hands, naturally athletic. There's a kid that brings a lot to the table. Todd Hartley pushed for a commitment, basically from even before his commitment or official visit, really in early June. This kid had an offer from Georgia last summer. And when Mark Bowman, the five-star, committed to USC at the end of May, it felt like Brayden Fogle was the next guy up. And he took a visit to Georgia again that weekend of June 6th. Loved it. And today he chose Georgia over Penn State and LSU. And this is a kid out of Ohio who is one of the best, not only in that area, but really across the Midwest. Loved Georgia, and he jumped on the opportunity to jump on board. What stands out most on film, not only his physicality in the run game. I mean, he is big, he is strong, but he can play the football. He can go up and catch it. And this is a guy that doesn't necessarily have to be played as a traditional tight end, but he can flex out wide. He can play in the slot. You can put him on the perimeter in the screen and short passing game and be a willing blocker out there. But he can also test defenses vertically. He's a weapon in the red zone, and his ability to go up and snatch the football is really impressive. He takes what he's learned on the basketball court, right, rebounding, boxing guys out, and he does it on the football field. So he uses his size to his advantage, but he's a crafty route runner too. He can get open on his own. He's tough to bring down after the catch. Overall, really, really good pickup. Again, he's the number 10 tight end prospect in the country, number 159, So solid four-star, and a guy that, I think is a really nice pickup. Now, the question that I've been asked already is, okay, they've got Lincoln Keys on board, the four-star from Saline High School in Michigan, who's a really good player and, himself. He committed in November, so his recruitment is kind of flown under the radar since he's been committed for a long time now, but that kid can play. Now you've got Brayden Fogle on board, and I've already got the question, what does that mean for Caden Prothro, right? The number 2 tight end in America, another major Georgia target. And I feel like I've said several times in the past that, hey, Georgia ideally wants to take 3 tight ends in this class. And they basically subbed out Mark Bowman, who they wanted badly. Obviously, kid's a star, for Brayden Fogle. So 3 tight ends, I think, definitely was the plan for this class, especially because they had Lincoln Keys on board in November, and they were still pushing for Mark Bowman and Caden Prothro. So 3 tight ends it's not too many, first off, because these guys are not traditional tight ends. They can line up all over the place, and they catch passes. And these are guys all bring size. Lincoln Keys is around 6'6". Caden Prothro, who I still think they've got a great opportunity to land next weekend. He's 6'6", 220. These guys have size, athleticism, and can play all over. So they don't necessarily have to line up right outside of the tackle every time. Now, they will play there, often, right? Because that's traditionally where you use tight ends. And, they can make a big impact there in the run game and in the play action game. But Caden Prothro, Brayden Fogle, these are guys you could put on the outside and throw a jump ball to and say, hey, go get it. Use your athleticism, use your size, use your strong hands to go up and catch the football. And when you watch film on this young man, it's easy to see that that's one of his strengths, right? So there's plenty of times where they're just going back, throwing it up to him, say, go get it. And he high points the football well, again, uses his size and his height to his advantage. There aren't many defensive backs in Ohio who can match up and play with this young man. So there's a reason Georgia liked him. The athleticism is easy to see on film. I could not find his numbers anywhere. I tried looking up his stats, couldn't find them. That is pretty ridiculous. In 2025, you can't look up a kid's numbers. So shame on those schools in Ohio who just have it left blank on Max Preps. That's ridiculous. But you turn on the film, again, you can watch over on highlights, over on Dawg Post, watch his highlights the kid can play, and he can catch the football. He's dangerous after the catch, tough to bring down. He can power through defenders, but he's got the footwork and the ability to put his foot in the ground and get open and make plays, on his own. So you can scheme him open, but, he's a crafty route runner who's only going to get better at that part of his game. But you can't teach size, and he's got it. He's got natural ball skills, athleticism. Again, the dude is a great basketball player, but he sees the potential, and his future is probably on the football field. And, he was one of the best players on the field week in and week out where he played up there. So Georgia goes into the Midwest, a guy that Penn State wanted, LSU wanted, and they said, no, we want to make you a priority now. And they showed him everything that they have to offer the weekend of June 6th. And again, Todd Hartley is a beast on the recruiting trail. Rarely does he miss on a guy. And the only reason he missed on Mark Bowman was because he got a big fat check to stay home in California and play for the Trojans. If everything was a level playing field, I think he would have ended up in Athens. He's the guy that they wanted badly. And when Todd Hartley wants a guy badly, rarely does he not get his guy. But, I'm not saying that Brayden Fogle is not a good player, because he is. But, when they had to go a different route and look for a new guy to be that second commitment, guy on their board at tight end, Brayden Fogle was basically next guy up, even though he did have an offer from Georgia, I think in July of 2024. So he's been on Georgia's radar. They liked him. They've had him on campus. But when they started to make him a priority and say, hey, we want you to be part of tight end university, which is what it is. We want you to jump on board. He wasn't passing that opportunity up. So listen, you can't play tight end at Georgia if you can't catch the football. You have to have size. You have to be physical. And he checks all of those boxes. So he's not just a pass-catching tight end. He's not just a blocking tight end that can't make plays in the passing game. This guy can do it all. And, his best football, I think, is way ahead of him as he continues to develop a route tree and practice against the best of the best. They're only going to make him better. I think he's got the frame to continue adding even more good muscle, more mass. That's going to help him out. But he's a physical guy who can box out and use his size to his advantage in the passing game. And once he has the football, he starts rumbling. He is hard to bring down. So he's got good lower body strength, but the strong hands and the ability to jump and get vertical and go catch the football at its highest point in those jump ball situations, I think makes him a really nice red zone threat. So definitely a guy that I think Georgia fans should be happy about. Again, he's a top 10 tight end in the country. Lincoln Keys is right outside of that top 10. I think he's number 12 or 13. And then, of course, Caden Prothro, who announces on the 12th between Georgia, Florida, I believe, in Texas. I think Georgia's in a good position there. So I do not think this impacts Caden Prothro at all. That guy is an absolute dog. He is elite, three-time state champion. I've talked about the numbers he's put up. He's a big wide receiver who can also play tight end. So, again, it's not like they're bringing in three just only tight ends who can only do that. I mean, all of these guys are versatile and can flex out and play in the slot and play out wide, and of course play that traditional tight end role as well. So if you want to play for Todd Hartley and Mike Bobo, you have to be able to do a lot of things well. And they use the tight ends. They love using two tight ends out there. And I think in certain situations, they'll have three tight ends out there if they want. So they've got just so much talent. They already have a crazy amount on campus right now. They signed two of the best tight ends in the country in the 25 cycle. And right now they've got two really good ones on board and a chance to have or add one of the best in the country next week in Caden Prothro. So if that happens and Todd Hartley lands all three of these guys, you've got to give him an A+ for what he's been able to do on the recruiting trail. So big time commitment today, Brayden Fogle, a 6'4", 235-pound tight end, choosing Penn State over LSU, giving Georgia their second tight end commitment. And it doesn't look like it's going to be their last one. They want to take three. This does not impact Caden Prothro, but this guy had an opportunity to jump on board and be developed and probably play a good bit at the University of Georgia. I'm not saying he's starting year one. I'm not saying he's starting year two, because he's behind some guys. The second he gets on campus, he's behind some talented dudes on the depth chart. But he's got enough talent, size, and athleticism and potential to ultimately be a possible starter down the road and make an impact, whether he's a starter or not. I think the kid will play. He can play on special teams too and get a start there. But He's a guy who works hard, he competes, and gives it everything he has, and you can see that on film as well. So watch those clips over on Dawg Post. I think you'll love what Georgia is getting in this young man, and again, big time 4th of July Independence Day commitment for Kirby and the Dogs. I think this is their 27th commitment overall in the 26th class. So they're rolling. They're going to have more commitments coming throughout the month of July, but this is the first one, and I think it's a pretty big one. 4-star Brayden Fogle committing to Georgia today. Big deal. You can read about him over on Dawg Post and watch those junior highlights again for free. Make sure you're doing that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over on Dawg Post.